I told you that the most powerful name in the modern world didn't rise because of perfection, but because of chaos. Not because every word was planned, but because some moments were so raw, so unscripted, that history itself had no time to edit them. Love him, hate him, say his name, and the room reacts. This is the story of Donald Trump told through 10 unscripted moments that turned a man into a force. The boardroom was quiet. Contestants leaned forward, palms sweating. Trump didn't rush it. He paused, looked them in the eye, and said it. "You're fired." No script could teach authority like that. Those words escaped television and entered culture, offices, classrooms, jokes, memes. Before politics, the world learned to associate his voice with final judgment. Power isn't always given. Sometimes it's heard. When Trump descended the escalator, reporters smiled. Some laughed. Some rolled their eyes. This wasn't supposed to be serious. Then he spoke, unfiltered, confident, unapologetic. By nightfall, every channel said his name. Disbelief is the first step to domination. Because attention always comes before influence. A question, a pause, then no notes, no filter. Because you'd be in jail. Gasps, nervous laughter, shock. In that moment, Trump shattered political etiquette, and once the rules are broken, the breaker controls the game. A reporter challenged him. Trump fired back, not with explanation, but with a label. "You are fake news." 2 words, global impact. Only powerful figures don't argue narratives. They rename them. He didn't start it. They did. "Build the wall." Trump paused, smiled, let it grow. True power is when people speak for you, before you ask. No script, no polish, just thinking out loud. On the world's biggest stage, the backlash was instant. So was the attention. Even his mistakes dominated the planet. Silence fades, noise spreads. No American president had crossed that line. Trump did. Without a speech, without warning, diplomats panicked, cameras shook, history blinked. No humility, no hedging. "I alone can fix it." People laughed, others believed. Extreme confidence divides crowds, and division is fuel. Most leaders fade. Trump returned to the microphone, still loud, still defiant, still commanding attention. Power isn't only winning, it's refusing to leave the stage. What should have ended him became a symbol. Posters, shirts, donations. Only myth-level names turn arrest into branding. Donald Trump isn't powerful because everyone loves him. He's powerful because everyone reacts. His name doesn't whisper, it echoes. History remembers perfection, but it never forgets disruption. And that is why his name still shakes rooms. Power doesn't begin with authority. It begins in the mind. Why do some names fade, while others hijack attention, emotion, loyalty, and rage? This is not about politics. This is about psychology. Trump understands one rule better than most humans alive. Attention is power before power is real. He speaks in absolutes. He interrupts silence. He says the thing others won't. The human brain is wired to notice threats, confidence, and unpredictability. Trump uses all 3 constantly. Even outrage keeps him alive in the mind. Neutral leaders are forgettable. Trump is not neutral by design. He forces a choice. Psychologically, the brain remembers emotional extremes far more than balance. Trump doesn't aim for approval. He aims for commitment. Love him or hate him, you carry him with you. Trump doesn't speak like a professor. He speaks like instinct. Short sentences, repeating phrases, clear enemies, clear victories. This bypasses logic and lands directly in the emotional brain, the same place fear, loyalty, and survival live. Simple language feels strong. complex language feels weak. Throughout history, societies under stress gravitate toward one figure, the strong man, the protector, the one who doesn't ask for permission. Trump presents certainty even when uncertain, and in chaos, certainty is intoxicating. People don't follow facts in fear, they follow confidence. For many supporters, Trump isn't just a candidate, he's a mirror. Criticize him, and it feels like a personal attack. This is called identity fusion. When a leader becomes intertwined with how people see themselves, at that point, loyalty becomes emotional, not logical. Every attack strengthens the narrative. Media criticism, investigations, mockery. Psychologically, opposition validates his supporters' belief that he's fighting the system. The more pressure applied, the stronger the bond becomes. Trump thrives in disorder. Why? Because chaos resets expectations. It keeps opponents reacting instead of planning, and it keeps attention locked on him. Control the chaos, and you control the conversation. At some point, Trump stopped being just a person. He became a protest, a warning, a promise, a symbol. Symbols outlive facts, and symbols don't need perfection. They need meaning. That's psychological weight. His name activates memory, emotion, conflict, and loyalty instantly. Few names in history do that. Fewer still do it globally. Donald Trump didn't hypnotize the world. He understood it. He understood fear, attention, identity, and the hunger for certainty in uncertain times. You don't have to agree with him to feel his presence. That's not politics, that's psychology. What happens when a man becomes bigger than the moment that created him? When elections pass, when headlines fade, when time moves on, does the influence disappear or does it evolve? History shows us a pattern. Once a political figure becomes myth, they stop obeying timelines. Trump crossed that line when his name stopped representing policies and started representing identity. Movements don't retire, they mutate. If Trump vanished from the stage tomorrow, the arguments wouldn't, the symbols wouldn't, the language wouldn't. Because the Trump effect is no longer attached to a microphone. It lives in how people argue, vote, distrust, and resist. That's permanence. Before Trump, careful wording, media filters, long explanations. After Trump, direct statements, conflict-first messaging, viral dominance. Future leaders, on every side, now copy the method even when they reject the man. The system adapted because it had to. Around the world, leaders learned the lesson. You don't need approval, you need attention. Some imitate the tone, some imitate the defiance, others imitate the conflict. But imitation proves influence, and influence is a form of immortality. Trump didn't invent division, he exposed it. The fractures were already there: economic fear, cultural anxiety, institutional distrust. He gave them a voice. Once spoken aloud, they don't return to silence. Some names settle into textbooks, others stay controversial. Trump belongs to the second category, the kind historians never finish debating. Was he a disruptor? A warning? A mirror? The argument itself keeps him alive. Systems are built to restore balance. But Trump introduced something unstable, unpredictability backed by loyalty. You can't reset that with rules alone. That's why his shadow still shapes decisions, narratives, and fears. Children who grew up during the Trump era learned politics as spectacle, emotion, and conflict. Their expectations are different now. Calm feels suspicious. Silence feels weak. That change doesn't reverse easily. The real question is this: why was the world ready for him? Because figures like Trump don't create eras. They reveal them. He was the symptom, not the disease. The Trump effect won't end with a verdict, a headline, or a final speech. It ends only when the conditions that created it disappear. And history tells us they rarely do. Donald Trump will one day leave the stage, but the questions he forced into the open about power, trust, media, identity, and fear will remain. History doesn't move backward. It absorbs disruption and builds around it. The Trump effect isn't a chapter, it's a turning point. When the noise finally fades, when the rally's quiet, when the cameras move on, what remains? Not the speeches, not the tweets, but the damage and the redesign left behind. The aftermath of Donald Trump and how politics was permanently rewritten. Before Trump, politics wore a mask. Politeness, carefully rehearsed outrage, controlled appearances. Trump ripped that mask off. After him, voters stopped expecting perfection. They expected authenticity, even when it was ugly. Once the illusion is broken, it never fully returns. For decades, media outlets shaped narratives from above. Trump fought back publicly, aggressively, constantly. Whether people agreed with him or not, trust fractured. The result? Audiences stopped consuming one truth and started choosing sides. The media survived, but its authority never fully recovered. Platforms used to matter. Details used to matter. After Trump, identity mattered more. Voters didn't just support positions, they defended people. Politics became emotional allegiance, not intellectual agreement. That shift changed campaigning forever. Calm politicians struggled to compete. Why? Because Trump proved conflict equals visibility. Debate turned into combat. Disagreement turned into spectacle. Even those who oppose him now use his methods because attention demands it. Before Trump, outsider meant unelectable. After Trump, outsider became a selling point. Business figures, influencers, media personalities. The gate cracked open, and it never closed again. Courts, parties, bureaucracies, all were stress-tested in real time. Some bent, some broke, some revealed weaknesses long ignored. Trump didn't invent institutional flaws. He exposed them. A generation learned politics not from textbooks, but from chaos. People who never voted began arguing. People who never cared picked sides. Engagement rose, even as unity fell. That awareness won't disappear. Trump didn't just change America. Leaders worldwide noticed. Some copied the style, some hardened their opposition, some restructured power to prevent a similar figure. His impact crossed borders and reshaped expectations of leadership everywhere. There will never be one verdict. Trump's legacy will always be argued in extremes. Disruptor or destroyer, truth-teller or provocateur, symptom or cause. And that division itself is the legacy, not laws alone, not offices. Trump changed how power feels. He taught the world that authority can be challenged loudly. Systems are not sacred. Attention can outweigh tradition. Once learned, those lessons don't unlearn themselves. Donald Trump didn't end politics. He ended the old version of it. The version that whispered, the version that hid behind ceremony, the version that assumed control was permanent. What came after is louder, messier, more emotional, and whether history judges it as progress or damage, one truth will remain. Politics was never the same again. History doesn't speak immediately, it waits.